Hey, you're random stranger. I am super keen to get to episodes 4, 5, and 6 of Girls Band Cry. But first, a couple of thoughts about the last 3 episodes we watched after, having given them a bit more of a think. First impressions of Nina. She's just a ball of contradictions, just as Momoka said. She's a dreamer, even though she says she isn't. She's this small town high school dropout trying to make it in the big city of Tokyo, who didn't even know what the middle finger meant, has never had gyudon, never seen a gay man before in her life. So how did she end up where she is? And basically, she wants to prove all of her haters wrong, even though a lot of the times she's not convinced herself that she's actually going to make it. And I guess that's the interesting contradiction at Nina's core, is that she's driven by this desire to succeed, but at the same time lacks the confidence that she will. She didn't even move to Tokyo to pursue music, not really. She moved to get away from that horrible feeling of being made to feel like there's something wrong with you in a place that was supposed to be home. I guess it was also a desperate move away from her family and like their expectations of her. Her family has these rules, like always eat dinner at home as a family, no using your phone in the living room. There will always be a family meeting every Sunday night. And I was like, what a weird sort of struggle that she's coming from. When Nina recited those rules, she sounded like a very depressed robot. And on paper, right, they sound like these very wholesome rules for having a happy family life. But with how Nina recalls them, they felt more like rules enforced without any real warmth for the sole purpose of making her family look like a highly functional family from the outside. You know, those families for whom reputation is everything, even at the cost of actually being there for their kid when she needed the most. Like when Nina was bullied horribly at school, badly enough to end up in the hospital, her family's response was just get over it. And that tells you everything, that the appearance of being a good family mattered more to them than the reality of it. This hits pretty hard, coming from an Asian family, having grown up in Asian circles myself, where the stigma of mental health issues still now is a barrier for people seeking help. And often there's this reluctance to talk about it because of the fear of judgment from other people, from other families. I could also see how Nina's choice to drop out of school would have been, in her family's eyes, this very insulting, I guess, crack in that facade. Like, why is she ruining this perfect life for us that we've laid out for her? We've given her all these opportunities and she's just throwing it away. So it's no wonder why Nina has learned that the people closest to her are not to be trusted. And the result is someone who, it's funny when it happens, but really when you think about it, it's quite sad. It's someone who on reflex walks away the minute things get uncomfortable. She did that several times in the last couple of episodes. A conversation gets tense, she leaves. She feels out of place at dinner with someone that she doesn't really know, and she walks. The most heartbreaking thing that Nina said about herself was, I don't think I'll ever make any friends because of my personality. When someone tries to get close to Nina to connect with her, her gut reaction is, to suss them out. This defense mechanism kicks in and her alert level just kind of shoots up to DEFCON 1 because she thinks that they're out to get her, which the past has taught her is a probable likelihood. That is genuinely sad to me because it's not that Nina is this prickly pear by nature. She's just someone who has had to put on incredibly thick emotional armor to survive, and that armor does not come off easily, even when you meet people who really do want to get to know you. Life is tough for Nina because of her reluctance to accept help. She would rather struggle alone than, I guess, owe something to someone whom she doesn't really trust yet. She's also quite reticent and timid until she isn't. She was furious on Momoka's behalf over her giving away her song for free, and she butts head a lot with both Momoka and Subaru. So it actually is very interesting to see what triggers that fieriness in her. It's why Momoka's diagnosis of Nina was so pinpoint accurate, and also so touching too, because she didn't try to fix Nina or like play down her rough edges and her contradictions. So Momoka said about Nina, you're so negative and complicated, but it's because you can't lie to yourself. Even though you're so fragile, you hate bending your views. What sounds like a list of flaws is actually a list of strengths. You know, Nina's contradictions, her stubbornness, the hurt and the hate that she's endured from other people, and just this intense fear of being taken advantage of. All of that is just the kind of raw material from which powerful music can be made. That is what someone on stage can sing about from the depths of their soul in a way that makes other people connect to them and makes other people feel things. That's what Momoka was taken by when they first met. Nina moved cities because Momoka's music touched her and I guess triggered some sort of fiery response or reaction against all of the people who look down on her. And I mean, what artist doesn't want to hear that their work completely changed someone's life? Especially when Momoka was already on her way out the door, you know, before this strange, awkward, emotionally chaotic girl just shows up as living proof that the music that she had written once upon a time still matters. I feel like out of all three girls, Momoka is still very much a mystery to me. When we first met her, it had been 3 years since she's been trying to make it, and she was pretty much done. She'd given away the rights to the best song that she'd written, Void, to her old band, Diamond Dust, and now they're the ones who have this shiny, glittering career, and she's still kind of stuck on ground zero. Also, she hasn't been able to write another song that she really loves since. And that is a very specific sort of creative wound. You know, not just that you gave something precious away, but seeing it go on to thrive without you and having this doubt at the back of your mind of whether you were actually kind of just a one-hit wonder. What I love about Momoka is she's just really a big softie with a very tough exterior. Things like how, you know, she only charged Nina 100 yen for her 1,000 yen CD. And I think it's just the way that she holds all of the loss and the disappointment that she's gone through quietly. Like she doesn't really rage about the song that she gave away, and she's not super bitter about her ex-band's success, and she is still so kind to other people. Or maybe we just didn't see all of that, and by this time, you know, she's moved on to the healthier acceptance stage. But the fact that she's willing to keep going with these new bandmates of hers is admirable. Whenever Momoka hears Nina sing, it kind of like awakens something in her. Almost like Nina is the living embodiment of a past version of herself that still lives on in her songs and that she still cherishes, which is why she wanted Nina to be the vocalist of their band. Their connection was pretty much instant, which I love. It's kind of electric. But I also like that there are frictions already in the relationship too, like when Momoka assumed that Nina had had an easy life and Nina snapped back, oh, what do you know about me? But Momoka just goes after her, and then she goes after her again and again, kind of hoping and maybe even knowing deep down that Nina will eventually give in to this drive to sing and to make music together. And so by episode 3, it just felt natural that Nina and Momoka they're kind of just bouncing off each other very comfortably. They bicker like they're already an old married couple, and they spur each other on to face the challenges of writing and performing music in such an honest way. Yeah, I was very impressed by their strong camaraderie and chemistry. Which leads us to the third girl in the equation so far, Subaru. So Subaru is an aspiring actor, but not because acting is her dream. It was more her famous grandma's dream for her, more of this like carrying on the family legacy sort of thing. Similarly to Nina, her joining the band was an act of self-determination, her way of rebelling against this path that's been laid out for her by other people. I felt like the bubbly energy that Subaru just exudes, especially with someone as reserved as Nina, feels like something that she's cultivated, maybe even consciously. She's spent a lot of her life learning to perform. Like she knows how to read a room, how to adjust herself to make other people comfortable. And we saw that almost immediately when she first met Nina. She was able to sense Nina's discomfort and immediately offer to leave. And I think that's a great quality that Subaru has. Another great quality of hers is how she does not let misunderstandings or discomfort between people fester. Her approach to conflict is something that I sign up to. Like, it's refreshingly direct. You put it out there, you talk it out, and you resolve it. Especially if you're going to be in each other's faces all the time, like you are going to be in a band. When she asked Nina outright, should I quit? She was taking the most efficient path she knew of to clear the awkwardness in the air between them. So she can't stand letting misunderstandings just kind of sit there, which is an incredibly healthy way to approach life. Importantly, as Subaru was talking about the importance of facing conflict head on, there was this lingering shot of Momoka staring up at the diamond dust billboard, suggesting that there's still probably a lot of unresolved tension between them, like between Momoka and her ex-band members, that I look forward to this series exploring later on when I think their paths inevitably cross. I think Subaru's directness is going to be a huge help for Nina, just because Nina instinctively, does not say what she really feels or what she really needs unless she's really pushed. We talked about how Nina and Momoka's connection was almost instant, and it does continue to grow, whereas Nina and Subaru, they give me like cat and dog vibes, where Subaru just doesn't let up trying to break down Nina's walls until she's in. Actually, I think the moment where Nina started bonding with Subaru was when she punched her in the leg for laughing at her crying. And I think that's it. True friends are the people you don't hold back with and just let your true feelings show, including rage. And I loved that the bonding between these girls, they've been shown in very real and raw ways instead of just, I don't know, I guess fluffy words or situations or whatever. In fact, I think the dynamics between the three girls we've been introduced to so far is genuinely one of the most entertaining aspects of the show. So I can't wait until we add the other two into the mix. And yeah, I'm just really curious to see what elements they bring. Let's talk about the distinctive visuals for emotion that this show has. Specifically, the wavy colored lines. And I think there are a few ways you could read them. The most literal is, I don't know, some kind of synesthesia. Like when people hear music, but then can perceive it as colors or shapes or different textures. So I wonder if Nina might be wired that way, experiencing music not just as sound, but as something that moves through space and impacts her other senses. It would explain why the lines travel or stream either towards her or away from her. So they also represent, threads of connection, like visually, the colored lines pull her towards someone or they cut her off from them. Like when Nina is despairing or raging about something, these shorter streaks radiate outwards from her, like this very intense, sharp emotion that cannot be contained and is visibly uncomfortable. Whereas when Nina first heard Momoka's guitar, these smooth blue lines stream towards her. And not only that, they shatter that grey glass looking thing that was encased around Nina like a shell. It was like her worries, her depression, the weight of both herself and everyone else's doubts were cracked open and blown away by Momoka's music. And that's a real thing, a real feeling. That's what the right music can do when it finds you at the right moment and just inspires you in a certain way. Another way to look at it is, each of the characters have their own distinct color. There's red for Nina, blue for Momoka, and green for Subaru, and the other two also have their own colors. So the whole point of building this band is synthesis. Like when you combine the different colors, you get something completely new. Or, light is really just made up of the colors of the rainbow. Like Momoka said, you're creating something awesome that neither one of them on their own could produce. That leads to my general impressions of the show so far, which is that it has some deeply genuine and profound things to say about what it means to risk everything to make music, or more broadly, to create. For example, Momoka's distillation of what a band is really gets to the core of it. A band is a bunch of people who have a lot of stuff that they want to say. I also love that she recognizes the struggles of working with other people to create music, but that even then, there's joy in the struggle. The struggle of making mistakes, of producing stuff that sounds like shit, and then going back to the drawing board and trying again. Inspiration without the effort and the grind means nothing. And Momoka, she is speaking from experience. She spent 3 years grinding away in the music scene with seemingly not much to show for it. I do appreciate how this show is real about the grind as an artist. For example, right after that huge emotional catharsis at the end of episode 1, where Nina, with the help of the other band actually, who were really nice about it, when Nina inspired Momoka to, stick with the dream, The show in the next episode immediately cuts back to reality where, Nina's struggling to balance study with music and Momoka has to find another job and get her apartment back. Like, it's all very real. And I like that they show that stark gap between the dream and then grimy reality, because that is something that every musician, whether in the classical or the contemporary or the rock world, can relate to. It also makes the small steps that they are taking towards something big even more rewarding, because they're having to struggle through all the drudgery to get there. Something else worth noting is how Nina started writing music by ear instead of going the longer route by, learning music theory. And that is a totally legit way to make music. I think the most important thing really is to just get started, like playing around with beats and layers and chords and melodies, which is what a lot of apps these days can help you to do, which is really cool. Do I think music theory adds deeply to someone's knowledge and understanding of what makes something sound good or not, and when and what rules to break? Absolutely. But it does not have to come first. Lastly, I just found some interesting comparisons between the two songs we got. So the first was Void, at the end of episode 1, when Nina chased Momoka through the rain while also dangerously carrying her guitar, which the show's plot armor prevented from shattering into a million pieces when she dropped it on the ground. So in Void, I really enjoyed how they paired the visuals to the lyrics. For example, when Nina was singing, what should I use to guide me? People often say to follow the book. So many words I don't understand. She was literally, visually sinking, in the same way you can be overwhelmed by things that people tell you should be doing, but that don't really help you or speak to your particular situation. Especially for someone like Nina, who has never really fitted into the template that everyone else around her seems to follow. That's why I also really liked the long, drawn out, that Nina lets out during the instrumental break, because sometimes there are just no words to properly express all the rage that you're trying to hold at bay inside. Sometimes a scream is the perfect outlet for being frustrated at life or at being misunderstood. There was also the last line that struck me, which was, "No matter how much I fight, there's no tomorrow." And I thought that, that could be read in two different ways depending on if you interpret it negatively or positively. So either there is no point in fighting because it won't lead to anything, or you have every reason to fight for what you want right now because tomorrow isn't guaranteed. And I think in that moment, Nina was choosing the second reading, using Momoka's song to speak to both their situations, that they shouldn't let this particular crossroads be the end of their stories, that the uncertainty of tomorrow is not a reason to stop. In fact, if anything, it is the reason to keep trying. So that's Void. And then episode 3 closed with another song, which I looked up, is called Voiceless Fish. And this time the dynamic was reversed. So it was Momoka who had to, broadcast this PSA to push Nina to just come out and sing, regardless of how scared she was. So again, just before the song starts, Momoka reeled off a bunch of contradictions about Nina. She's timid, but she's stubborn, cowardly, but confident. And as Momoka was pointing all of those things out, Nina's despairing red streaks appeared again, probably because she was expecting Momoka to then tell her, "And that's why you'll never make it." But instead, Momoka reassured her that those contradictions are exactly what makes Nina the right person to front this band. The things that Nina has spent her whole life feeling ashamed about are the very things that Momoka wants to build this band on. The lyrics to Voiceless Fish kind of paint a picture of Nina's inner world, her loneliness, the belief that no one really needs her, also of being tired of waiting for something to change. It also talks about the insecurity that she still feels even when people tell her that she doesn't have to be alone. It reminded me of that scene, after Nina first met Subaru, where Momoka was like, "Just let people in, you don't have to be like this." But Nina walked out anyway and then immediately regretted it, showing that her being suspicious of Subaru's intentions was pure reflex than anything. She's been burned so badly in the past when it comes to human connection, but she still craves it. And to crave something so badly, but simultaneously believe that it will never be yours because of who you are. That is a very dark place to be in, and something that Voiceless Fish addressed really well in the lyrics. One of my favorite moments in that song was like just before the chorus drops. The camera focused on Subaru like twirling her drumstick, and then in the next moment, the color just like explodes back. I just love that her band was backing her up as she sang this. And I think they can all relate to it in some way, relate to the lyrics. Yes, it expresses Nina's frustration at her lonely predicament, but it's also probably what Momoka felt at her lowest point, and it speaks to how Subaru feels for having to hide the fact that she doesn't really much like acting at all. So the music works and is powerful because it is true for all of them. Towards the end, there was this curious visual choice where the girls' colors are super vivid and bright, but the girls themselves are grayed out. And I was like, what might that mean? Because it's the mirror image of Nina hearing Momoka sing Void for the first time, where the music shattered like the grey open and coloured in Nina herself. So if I were to guess, in Voiceless Fish, the colour is maybe the music that they're putting out there that's really connecting with others, whereas the grey in the girls represents how they each in their own ways feel invisible or unheard and replaceable, but what they're putting into the song is real and impossible to ignore. We are very lucky to be watching this series in full, thanks to Wellsy funding this whole thing. So I guess final words before we jump into the new eps. I just really appreciate that Girls Band Cry is not just a show about a rock band trying to make it, which it is, but it is also about how people go on while carrying their pain, and a show about how people respond to external pressure and the risk of building new relationships and uncertain futures. That makes each of these girls super relatable, even if we're not personally trying to rock it out. All right, I'm so ready for episode 4. If you guys are good to go, let's do this in 3, 2, 1, play. And be amazing at it. Oh man, this reminds me of the Yui scene in K-On! When she's buying her first guitar. So real. Yeah, when really she was dragged, kicking and screaming. They look so good together. I wonder if she does actually pick up a guitar and start learning. I don't know. You know how like with a lot of these music animes, it's very unrealistic, like the way that they progress on their instruments, even though they've never touched one before in their lives. It does seem like she kind of just stays as like a pure vocalist. Yeah, well, she's not holding a guitar there. That'd probably be a bit more realistic. But I mean, I wouldn't be mad either if they made her like a complete, psycho on the guitar. I mean, the other girl plays the second guitar, right? Or maybe it's just bass. Yeah, have to do like a proper musical listen to this OP. I really like it. Damn, Momoka's like full on pro. Damn, Momoka coming in with like some real like criticism, which is great. You know, that's how you get better. Just like city people and their complicated lives. The facial expressions in the animation is crazy. It's probably true, but that's a nice song. So they were the K-On of their day. I guess that girl no longer exists. Not really. Maybe somewhere deep down. So she quit of her own volition, but sounds like a complicated situation. Oh no! Maybe it's grandmama. Put her foot down. I don't think it's a guy. I want the answer, even though it doesn't really matter. god, it's happening. Yeah. Yep. God, she's a force, isn't she? I mean, she's standing right there. And the grandma's like, this riffraff. It all makes sense. Subaru's grandma is a goddess with no flaws. Nina, just no nuance. Mm, Also, you're not her granddaughter. I also want to see. Oh my. This setup is so amazing. She knows. She sees all. Oh my goodness. This is amazing. Hmm. Maybe she knew that Subaru's heart wasn't in it. Hmm? Mm. Mm. I mean, it is kind of the same as your study, you know? No, she's just experienced. Mm. Is that Subaru? She's terrible. Ah, damn, she lives here by herself? Also, Subaru still doing the, like, trying to break down Nina's little thing. She's a dog, Nina's a cat. Grandma? Whoa. Damn. But the name she was given kind of sets out her life path in a way. Oh, Subaru. That's a really wholesome reason to keep sticking at it. But she's actually pretty good. Mm. Her grandma would not approve of this move. Just bought her a bunch of mandarins. It's very Nina way to apologize, just like very indirect. I kind of direct too, just not in person. I mean, I guess better out than in. The lions. Uh, so it's like she wants more time with her granddaughter. Oh man. Oh, Nina. Oh, are you gonna say something? I don't know if it's your place to say anything. Ah, personal growth for Nina. I mean, I wonder if grandma, like, kind of already knows. Okay, just put all your emotions in your music. Momoka's face. It's good she's a drummer. She can just bang it out on the drums. Is it too early to say that that is possibly my favorite episode? I mean, it's already had a really strong start, but that one really just the way that they bickered with each other, yes, but also supported each other and expressed different views on how to handle the situation with Subaru's grandma. Also the way that they showed, first of all, Nina's insecurity, like when Subaru um, reassured her that she wasn't going to quit band, even though she had texted that she would. Um, Nina really didn't trust that she wasn't gonna just leave. You know, it took Subaru a while to make Nina believe what she was saying, that she wasn't going to quit. Now, I think that just stems back from, Nina's horrible like experience with other people and people saying things to her face that they don't actually mean, especially like the kids who bullied her at school. So to see them sort of be really solid in their trust with each other was really like touching. The setup of this difficult situation with Subaru and her grandma, it wasn't as straightforward as Subaru's grandma is like pressuring her to become an actor and won't take no for an answer. It was actually really interesting the way that they made it into how both Subaru and her grandma have these legit like emotional wants from each other. So from the grandma's perspective, well, she's coming from the point of view that no one in the family really approved of what she did because it took her away from her family. And obviously an actor's life is very different to, say, a normal 9 to 5 job. So when Subaru expressed an interest in acting, it kind of validated her whole life, basically. It uplifted her because at least one person in the family was like, yeah, I see what you're doing, grandma, and I think it's really cool and I want to give it a go myself. And then conversely, from Subaru's side, seeing her grandma be so happy because of that validation puts, I guess, more invisible pressure on Subaru to not give up acting entirely, or to not, I guess, tell her grandma that eventually acting is not really the long-term path that she sees for herself. That setup is infinitely more interesting, and I guess more heartwarming and touching, and like, oh, what do they do? There's no really one right answer in this situation than compared to just like a straightforward, tiger grandma situation. And then on top of like discovering what it was behind Subaru's pressure to keep acting, you also see Nina growing through the situation in a really humorous way, but in a really real way as well. Like initially, she's all, why don't you just tell her? Stop lying to her and to yourself. This is really crap for us. Like, we need you to be fully committed. Whereas by the end of the episode, she has recognized something that the other two, like Momoka and Subaru, had always known. But Nina herself has recognized that sometimes things aren't as straightforward as you want them to be, that sometimes you have to be wise in how and when you tell people things, especially when the emotions involved are like a bit complicated. Favorite part of the episode, though, I mean, amongst a lot of favorites, like when I rewatch this, I'll probably have another ball. But the last bit where Subaru is just like ranting about how tough of a situation she's been put in. She had Nina on the one hand. What did she call her? Like the morality monster? Like basically Nina telling her what she should do, but then all of a sudden taking her words back and actually taking the position that Subaru was trying to make her understand in the first place. And then she raged at Momoka for kind of just like understanding what's going on, but just staying on the sidelines and letting the whole thing play out without really trying to help. To be fair to Momoka, though, it was probably smart of her to kind of just let things play out and let Nina and let Subaru figure it out on their own, because she's like, well, what are my words going to do if what they're feeling inside hasn't caught up to my way of thinking? And I mean, I don't even know how they fit all of this in, but we also touched on, I guess, Momoka's continued reticence to talk about her past with Diamond Dust, which again is fair enough because there's probably a lot of hurt that's banked up inside that Momoka doesn't want just spilling out, because she is on this journey to restart or start a new band. And I feel like she doesn't want to let the old baggage from her past spill over and negatively impact this new thing that they're trying to build together. But tying it all together was this idea that, at one point, Momoko was really genuinely happy. Like that photo of her with her K-On club, genuinely smiling and just eyes so full of hope for the future. And tying that directly to Subaru's grandma, who genuinely smiled when Subaru expressed interest in acting. It all links back up to this idea that art can genuinely give joy to people, but at the same time, it also brings a lot of grief and suffering, and just the way that it plays out in the real world. People don't understand necessarily what you're trying to do, or they don't appreciate what you're trying to do, or there's just different sorts of people who value art and music differently, or even just the core idea of pursuing your dreams. You know, some people think that that's stupid or that you should be more realistic in what you're trying to go for. So, creativity and pursuit of a dream is always twinned together with grief and suffering. And that's how it's always been, and that's how it always will be. Let's jump straight into Ep 5. Here we go in 3, 2, 1, play. Oh, does she know her? Hmm. I think they're doing a great job of showing the I don't know if it's suppressed like pain that Momoka still feels from how things shook out with Diamond Dust. I don't know. I'm not. Maybe it's not suppressed. Maybe it's just more. It's been a while, and she just wants to move on. She's tired of like always constantly looking at the past. But there does still seem to be a sense that there's stuff that's really unresolved and kind of just sitting there. So that marionette scene is interesting. Also, it didn't seem like the way that Diamond Dust presented themselves didn't seem like the kind of band that Momoka would be in. Like it's, I don't know, it seems more pop idol than rock. Although I know that there are like bands in Japan that cover the like they look like idols, but then they do like hardcore rock as well. So I know there's all sorts. It looks gruddy. Ooh, yeah, there was an image change. The details in the mics and all the equipments and stuff is actually pretty cool. Hmm. Momoka, like she does keep want to keep trying, but she is also quite like cautious, as you would be after so many years. I mean, Subaru. Yeah. Use the power of your grandma's reputation. A test of Nina's social skills. Oh god. Momoka's like, I need to pay rent, girl. hmm Yes, she knows nothing. Damn, this is just like the nitty gritty of actual band like economics. Mm. Nina's like, you gypped us. He's a true indie guy. We don't go mainstream. Ah, there you go. That makes sense of like the costume change and all that. Mm. Yeah, I want to see like what their performance is like now. uh Nina's first like freely given hug to Subaru. Charge the money. Again, Nina has no tact. I didn't go to acting school for nothing. Nina is so cute. She tries her best. Nina tries. Man, that is a huge, like pretty big stadium. Not stadium, like venue. Wait, isn't that Void? Wait, did they change? Ah, they remade it. Ah, okay. She's mad. What? I definitely like Nina's rendition better. Mm. Oh, she didn't know that. Wait, what? That those girls were actually Diamond Dust? Oh, it was the girl that. Oh, okay. Okay, now I know. Damn. What a coincidence. It's okay. Use it to fuel your rage and your music. I mean, they are united by some sort of like rage against Diamond Dust. A true fan. It's so funny. Oh, that's an Eva? She's not really. Yeah. Kind of just letting go. Just eat, Subaru. No. Oh, Nina. Just jumping to conclusions. Oh, oh no. Oh God. Man, they really push each other's buttons. I guess it's, oh my gosh. I guess she got, why is there like a band-aid? Friendship. Mm. Everyone's just like trying to listen in. Oh, she's so good. And they got their drinks back. That's a way of saying, yes, I love you too. This is so ridiculous. I mean, doesn't that make it worse for Nina? Just repeating what Momoka said. Yeah. I mean, there'd probably be a lot of fans who are like, like Nina, also really like what Diamond Dust used to be, like more raw, more edgy. So there'd be a lot of those people showing up. Mm-hmm. What does she mean, bear it all? Oh, man. Mm, like a rock god prayer. I mean, there is a bass guitar in this, though. It's just invisible. Right? That was such a cool, like, guitar. Well, I guess I got their 2 band members. Ooh, nice. That was nice how she drew that out, and then the guitar repeated it. Wow, so the Diamond Dust storyline just got a lot more personal. So first, the new lead singer of Diamond Dust is Nina's ex-friend. And I mean, we don't really have the full picture yet, but we know that this girl was someone who played a big role in making Nina feel like she didn't belong or that there was something wrong with her. So now Nina is dealing with the discombobulating fact that Diamond Dust, this band that she has loved so much for so long, is now led by someone who made her life hell. You know, and that it has to be a super uncomfortable knot to untangle. It's also why Nina is pushing so hard for Momoka to like revive the true Diamond Dust. By the way, a moment of silence for Subaru. You know, just huge respect for her just sitting in between Momoka and Nina as they threw drinks at each other because one, it probably landed on her, and two, just she has so much patience for being someone who is stuck between an immovable object and an unstoppable force. Like, just full respect for Subaru. Yeah, Void was not just a song that resonated with Nina. You know, it was this song. You know how we saw that scene where she basically was being bullied or just feeling terrible, and she locked herself in that room and she just put Void on, and you could just see that at the worst point in her life when she was feeling most alone and most attacked, that song gave her permission to unapologetically just exist, and that's no small thing. It probably wouldn't be exaggerating to say that Diamond Dust music saved her life, which explains why she feels so strongly about it. The other thing that we found out was that it was Momoka's choice to quit Diamond Dust. And again, sort of similarly to Subaru's situation with her grandma, there are no real villains in that story. It's not like the band, forced Momoka to quit. They had made this calculated decision, accept the benefits of being signed to an agency, even if it means having to make their sound a bit more, mainstream, and then use that boost in fame and resources to eventually one day get back to making the kind of raw, real music that they really, really want to make. So even if I guess Nina would call that selling out, to me, it sounded more like it was just a very practical strategy towards getting to where they wanted to get. But Momaka could not live with that compromise, which I don't think you could blame her for either. You can only really make the choice that you truly believe in at any given moment. So it's just complicated, But what made the whole situation even more tragic is that it wasn't just some sort of like professional breakup. To Momaka, she broke the promise that she had made to her high school best friends, that promise to never quit. And you can see that Monica is still carrying the guilt of that, which explains why she's been so like withdrawn and cautious these last couple of episodes. I think she's just terrified of failing this new band in the same way that she had failed or so-called failed her other band. I feel so bad for her. Like she is feeling so heavily responsible for not just what happened with Diamond Dust, but also her current band. She's like putting up her own money to get their names out there, but not really telling Nina or Subaru. And I get that she is the older and more experienced one, but I also can't wait for her to realize that the other girls are going to step in and also be there for her as well. What really intrigued me was the snippet of the version of Void that the current Diamond Dust performed, because just from that short bit, you could hear that the arrangement has been kind of smoothed out, like with the use of more sustained synths and just like a cleaner sound palette. It's still recognizably rock. Like it's not like they gutted it completely and then turned it into this like sugar pop track, but the rougher, crunchier guitar texture that is prominent in the version that we heard Nina and Momoka perform on the street, it's not there. That's sort of been sanded down a bit. But the thing I think made the biggest difference was the vocalists. So the new lead singer of Diamond Dust has a thinner voice compared to Nina's. So especially when you get to that most intense part of the chorus, like when the melody continues to step up pitch-wise, it just doesn't carry the same weight. By contrast, what Nina does with the melody, especially at the ends of phrases, is to really push that chest to head transition out more. Like it's not a complete voice break, but there's this fraying edge to her voice that she does that just kind of pushes on the edge of a vocal flip. That's not necessarily better or worse. I do think it is just a matter of personal preference, but for a song that's all about being at the end of your wits, but somehow still dragging up the dredges of hope from deep within you, I could see how Nina's stronger, edgier voice would transmit that message, like that desperation, more effectively in a way that a cleaner voice couldn't. All right, here we go. Episode 6 in 3, 2, 1, play. Oh, it's a self-made studio. I was like, does it help her get into the mood or Yo, Vocaloid mention. I mean, that's not bad for a complete startup. It's so interesting that they brought in the Vocaloid mention, and the fact that the other girl, I don't think we got a name yet, but that she writes music or rather melodies on Vocaloid, but um, doesn't sing them herself. So it's kind of just it's interesting how like the band is slowly starting to get put together because you sort of need like different skills to fit the pieces together. Mm. I don't remember if Vocaloid, even within Japan, is sort of a niche thing as well, or if it's actually it's definitely way more well known, obviously, than outside of Japan. But yeah, it was interesting. Like, oh, hey. I mean, I guess the cool thing about Vocaloid is that it allows anyone to put down a melody and see how it plays out. But yeah, maybe there are just certain melodies that suit live vocals a lot more or are just more powerful. Especially Nina's voice. There's something about Nina's voice. I don't know how they picked the actor to be her voice and be her singing voice, but they just hit it like right on the head. What that stage name? Yeah. It's probably what Momoka used to be like. I mean, is she worried about what's going to happen to Nina if disappointment inevitably comes? I mean, I don't know if the comparisons are net good or not. It's not classy. Which is not bad. They literally have just had what, 2 lives. Something is really weighing Momoka down. Subaru is not paid enough to be this couple's counselor. She needs a pay raise. Too small. Too small of a dream. Mm. This guy is so nice. Even though he's been flipped off numerous times by Nina. Mm. Oh god, she's checking like probably every minute how many followers they have. That's very unhealthy. That could just be a spiral. I love that the keys that she's playing fits the music. That's great. Great detail. And another 50-50 band split. Mm. Seems like the hit rate for close friends starting a band and being successful is not great. At least in this show. She's like, I'm trying to not be murdered by my family. I thought she was being sarcastic. Man, I feel like she's skipping a few steps. Hmm. Also true. I'm more with Momoka on this. On the other hand, it might give them the drive they need. I love how these two have just been like eavesdropping on everything that they've been saying. Man, I'm really curious about the keyboardist. She seems like such a little, like, hardened, tough little thing. Even tougher than Nina. Tomo. Okay. This is so painful. It's talking to two potatoes. I mean, they already have an existing fan base. Combine them. Mm. It's a real danger, like, signing yourself to a label that takes you completely in the opposite direction you wanna go. Toma has standards, which I approve of. Oh, man. I could see these 2 clashing so much. Tomo and Nina. Ah, she doesn't know about Budokan. Mm. I forget that they're in Tokyo or near Tokyo enough, close enough to just go to the Budokan. Still making it about diamond dust, but it's a very, you know, laudable goal. Mm. Just gonna use it wily tactics. I love her as a true music critic. Mm. 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 You can't say no to legit good music. Like, move her with the music instead of reasoning, I guess. Just follow the master, please, Nina. That's such a huge imp. I love all these coincidences they're packing in. Also, stop getting drunk in our store. Rupa is just too good for this world. She's an angel. Ooh, what is a keyboardist gonna do? Maybe switch up the chords or something. The streams of color. Ah, it needed like that high register from the keyboard so badly. Also, Momoka's smiling. That's always a good sign. Woohoo! Was that a yes or a no? Maybe like a trial run? Ooh. Oh, that's interesting. That's the first time we've seen like the lines flow out from Momoka. Um, and she's really being dragged down by what is it, like the guilt of having, I suppose, abandoned her former bandmates when she said, you know, she wouldn't. I totally get it. Like having been burned before. Oh, it's not really being burned by other people. It's more um feeling that feeling doubt in your own ability to make this work. Like maybe there's something wrong with herself, and that's why Diamond Dust didn't work out. And even though she's got like new people around her now who are really passionate about getting this band thing going, maybe Momoka's just kind of like, what if I ruin it again? You know, she's kind of putting all of the success or failure onto her own shoulders. Um, I feel for her so much. But now that they've got who was it, Ripper and Tomo? I don't know, I just feel like she's gotta let go and, you know, sort of let the success or failure of the band be shared amongst all of them. It's the only way to do it, right? Man, I don't think we've had a weak episode so far. What I really liked about this one is, I guess, for the first half of the episode, it kind of showed Nina be caught in the whirlwind or the obsession, really, of one, of increasing their fan numbers. She's really like jumping ahead and being like, we need to get our numbers up, we need to get our numbers up. And maybe just slightly neglecting the fact or the original reason why they got together to be in a band, which is to make music that says real things and um, digs deep down into their own experiences and expresses that. It's always a balance, right, between being practical about how you get your name out there versus staying true to what you originally wanted to create. She's not wrong to aspire to the kind of clout that Diamond Dust has, especially after she chatted to that club owner who was like, "Oh, look, these days, people reach out online. It's about like how many followers you have. If you reach a certain number of followers, or you know your name gets out there enough, agencies start contacting you, etc., etc." I felt like he did give her a really good sort of um, milestone to aim for, which is, why don't you aim for the status that Diamond Dust had before they went pro or before they signed to an agency? You know, the indie days of Diamond Dust, you know, when they had about 10,000 followers. I think that is a more like realistic goalpost to sort of try for. Quick impressions of like the two additional girls who are finally, I mean, I guess they're not really a band yet, but they're kind of feeling it out and seeing if they're going to work together. Rupa, as far as I can see, as I said, is an angel. You know, she's so weirdly calm, and I think she is Tomo's rock in the same way. Well, not in the same way that Momoka was Nina's rock, because she also has like issues that she's working through. But so far, we haven't really seen of Rupa any of the baggage or like the deep emotional wounds that the other girls have. I'm sure there is, we just haven't seen it yet. She really is just such a supportive friend and bandmate, which is odd because the instrument she plays is the bass. You know, the bass is what grounds the other instruments by providing a solid, steady bass line for them to riff off of. It's like that thing in K-On! Again where, you know, each person is matched to an instrument that also reflects their personality, which is it's kind of cool. And Tomo, look, I can't lie, I love that they gave the moody, kind of a bit eccentric, really reserved, but prickly, knows what she wants kind of character to the keyboardist. Like, I think she has issues trusting people, I guess, similar to Nina, but also different in a way that she's just naturally, you know, very reserved. And, you know, I'll just wait and see what you're all about before I leap in. Her keyboard parts added so much lift to that song. There is something missing in a band that does not have a keyboardist because you're missing that higher end balance to sort of lighten out the bass stuff that's happening in the drums and like the bass guitar. It'll be interesting to see how they balance out, I guess, using Diamond Dust as a useful target, but also to not limit themselves and their goals to just quote unquote beating Diamond Dust at their own game, but more so carving out their own identity and staying true to what Rupa said they wanted to do and why Rupa and Tomo were both drawn to the initial three girls in the first place, which was that they sing things that they want to sing. Lastly, Subaru. I mean, I feel like I always end with Subaru. I don't know. She's just such a consistent, smart presence. I feel like Nina would just drown in the sea of complicated human relationships if Subaru wasn't there to like sort of pull her back and be like, look, let's come at this and come at these complicated feelings with a bit more tact than just charging in and be like, you need to do this, you know, especially in relation to Momoka. I'm so enjoying this series. I'm very happy that we got a chance to watch it. So thank you, Wellsy, again. Leave your thoughts in the comments and we'll see each other for the next video.